Hello everyone, in today's video you'll learn how to hack a sleeve pattern for a t-shirt, changing it from this to this. I'm Sharon with Sharon Sews. Welcome to my channel, a channel all about sewing. For the past few years, statement sleeves have been a trend on the runways, and if you go into any store or look online, you can see that little puff sleeves are popular on t-shirts. It's a super easy hack to do. You can use this on any t-shirt pattern that has a set-in sleeve. The pattern that I'm wearing that I'm going to be showing the hack on is the Concord T by Cashmerette. That particular pattern has a band for the sleeve drafted already. If you do not have that on your pattern, it's okay. I'll show you how to do it. All you need to do this hack is the original pattern piece, some tracing paper, something to write with, a ruler, scissors, and tape. Let's get started. The first thing you want to do is trace your sleeve pattern as you're going to be cutting the pattern apart. By tracing it, you can keep your original sleeve pattern intact. As I mentioned, I'm using the Cashmerette Concord T pattern. This is the short sleeve from that pattern. Include the grain line and any marks and notches on your pattern, and be sure to add your seam allowance if you need to. My pattern already had seam allowances included. Once you're done tracing, cut out the pattern piece. When I alter my patterns, I find it helpful to pin the pattern pieces to my cardboard cutting board. You can always use pattern weights if you don't have something to pin the pattern to. You just simply want to make sure that your pattern piece is not moving. So place the cut out pattern piece that you just traced on top of paper. I've placed brown shipping paper underneath the pattern so you can easily see what I'm doing. Normally I would just use my pattern tracing paper. First thing is to draw a vertical line from the shoulder marking of the sleeve pattern. I find it helpful to measure from the grain line to make sure that I'm drawing a very straight vertical line. After that, you will draw two vertical lines 2 inches from the center line. If you want even more fullness, go ahead and add 2 more lines 2 inches from the lines you just drew. Just be careful not to go past the notches because then you're getting into the underarm portion of this sleeve. Now you will cut along the center line. Then you're going to spread the pattern piece 1 inch from the center on each side. After you spread it 1 inch, you will secure it in place. What you're doing is you're adding a total of 2 inches in the center there. Next, cut along the other line on the side and add another 2 inches, just like you did on the center. Do that for both sides, and then tape all pieces in place. After you have your pattern pieces taped in place, mark the center of the sleeve and then measure up 1 5/8 inch from the center and make a mark. Then you're going to true up the seam line. You're going to draw a new seam line. A curved ruler is very helpful at this point. You don't need to have one. It'll just make it a little bit easier for you. When you sew this new sleeve pattern, you're going to end up gathering between the notches on the upper edge and then close to the seam line on the bottom edge. Be sure to mark the center of the new sleeve because you're going to match that to your shoulder seam. And here is the completed pattern piece. When we place the original pattern piece on top of it, you can see that we've added width and we've added height. That's going to allow for that gathering. Now the Concord T pattern that I'm using already had a sleeve band included. If your pattern does not have one, it's very easy to create one. Let me show you how. To make the sleeve band pattern, measure around your upper arm. Add 1/2 inch to that number and write it down. Now we're going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance to each side. For example, my arm measured 11 inches. I add 1/2 inch for that first measurement for 11.5 inches. Then I'm adding 1/2 inch for a seam allowance on each side of the band. That's 1 inch. So I'm going to cut the width of my band 12 1/2 inches. You will cut the width of the band based on the measurement of your arm. On your pattern tracing paper, go ahead and draw a horizontal line, that measurement. In my example, it was 12.5 inches. Then draw a vertical line along each end that measures 2 3/4 inches. That includes a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and your finished band will be about 7/8 of an inch wide. Draw the bottom horizontal line connecting the 2 short lines. Now, when you cut out the band on your fabric, make sure the stretch of the knit is going along the width.
To gather the sleeve, set the straight stitch on your sewing machine to the longest setting. Then between the notches on the sleeve, sew 2 rows of stitching. Do 2 rows of gathering stitches along the lower edge too, where you will add the band. I'm using red thread here, contrasting color so that you can see what I'm doing. Take each band piece and with right sides facing, stitch the short end together and press open. Fold each band in half lengthwise, wrong sides facing, matching the raw edges. You can pin it in place at this point if you want to. You're going to take those band pieces and pin to the bottom of the sleeve. You will adjust the gathers on the bottom of the sleeve to fit the band. You do want most of the gathers to be near the top part of your arm, not on the underseam. Once you've done pinning and you have it adjusted the way you like it, stitch your seam, and if you want to finish it with a serger, go ahead and do so. And here's what the band looks like before we add the sleeve to the shirt. At the top of the sleeve, carefully pull the stitches to create gathers. Pin the sleeve to the top, adjusting the gathers. Again, you want most of the gathers at the top near the shoulder seam. Pin it in place and stitch. And here's the final sleeve.
Pretty easy hack, right? Let me know in the comments below if this is something that you've done, something that you think you might do. By the way, this would work on any sleeve pattern that has a set-in sleeve that you want to add some fullness to. If you found this video helpful or enjoyed it, thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe so you don't miss future videos. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy sewing!
A little bonus tip for you. Don't use the hot iron on polyester fabric without a press cloth.